All right, so the first video for 4.3 is going to be really short. We're just kind of going over one quick thing. So the first thing is factored form. Factored form looks something like this. It's literally like when the quadratic is actually factored down, kind of before you do the FOIL method, or I guess you consider after you factor. And we're going to run through how to factor in just a minute too. So your factored form would look something like this, and this is just kind of generic. Like, you might have a coefficient on the outside, and then you'd have your factors. So your factors could be P and Q, something like that. So of course you would have numbers in there, but that's just what your generic form looks like once it's kind of all factored down, and those factors end up representing the x-intercepts. All right, so we can use the FOIL method. So say we have just an example, like x minus 3 and x plus 5. Something like that. So just to recap the FOIL method, I know we know it, we're going to run through it really quickly. So this is an acronym. F stands for first, so we multiply the first two terms together. X times x would give us x squared, and then O stands for outside, so we multiply the outside two terms together. So x times positive 5 would be positive 5x. I is next, that stands for inside. We multiply the inside two terms that are almost touching, multiply negative 3 times x, and we get a negative 3x. And then the capital L stands for last. You multiply the last two terms together. So negative 3 times positive 5 would be a negative 15. And then finally what we are going to do is combine up our like terms. So x squared would be the quadratic term. These middle ones would combine up to a positive 2x. That would be your linear term. And then the negative 15. All right, so that would be your standard form. And it would look something like that. Okay, so we're going to look just at a quick example here for this first video. So the first one asks us to write in standard form something that has 1/2 and negative 5 as its roots. So I should mention, if we go back to this previous page, when we're in the factored form like this, the x-intercepts, or the roots, are P and Q once we get into that factored form. Because remember, just like we were doing before, when you set a linear piece like this equal to 0, you'd add P. And so you'd get P for x. Same thing here, when you set this equal to 0, you'd add Q, and so you'd get Q for your second value of x. So when you're in this form, the x-intercepts are P and Q. Notice the subtraction here, that's very important. So, for example, if we go backwards and we say that one of our roots is 1/2, that means one of our factors must have been x minus 1/2. And then if negative 5 is one of our roots, that means one of our factors must have been x minus negative 5, which of course we would change to plus a positive. And then when we're saying equation, the fact that it's an equation is very important, so we always put an equals 0 on the end. So we use these numbers to set up our factors, and then we set an equals 0. So the reason we just learned the FOIL method is because we're going to FOIL this out. So x times x first gives us x squared. The outside, x times positive 5, gives us a positive 5x. Inside, negative 1/2 times x gives us a negative 1/2 x. And then negative 1/2 times 5 gives us negative 5/2. And then don't forget, we do have that 0 on the right-hand side. An equation means there should be an equal sign. Now, when we're dealing with fractions like this will pop up in the homework. You want to clear out those fractions. So this denominator is 2. So if we multiply everything by 2, it'll clear out the fractions. So multiply every single term by 2. So this is going to become 2 times x squared is just a 2x squared. 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times negative 1/2, like I mentioned, the 2's would cancel, and we would just have negative 1x. And then 2 times negative 5/2, again, the 2's would cancel, and we'd have negative 5. On the right, 0 times 2 is still just 0. So for our final answer, we'll combine like terms. So these middle two, I just subtract 10x minus 1x, and I get 9x minus 5, and so this would be my equation. All right, so just a quick little video for that first part.